Target's about 50 yards away, huh?
Yeah, it is.
I'm about to spin it right down the middle.
Oh! Bang!
Give me my million!
Now, take notes.
No way. You gotta be kidding me, man.
What are you guys doing on the roof?
We're just practicing.
Well, get off before you break your neck.
It's for $1 million.
Get off!
The Eckridge $1 Million Challenge is back. Enter at EckridgeFootball.com for your chance to win.
You know she'd want that money.
Welcome in, I'm Sam Monson along with Mike Renner, and today, Mike, we're going to be talking about giant wide receivers who are just killing it all throughout the college landscape. This video is brought to you by Eckridge, the official smoked sausage of the college football playoff. Mike, the first guy I want to start with is Arizona State's N'Keal Harry, 6'4", 213 pounds. Monster play in this first week of the season. Tell me a little bit about him.
Yeah, he may have had the highlight of the first week of the college football season. He just, like you mentioned, is a monster in terms of explosive plays down the field and what he can do after the catch. 27 plays of 20-plus yards a season ago. That was the fourth most of any wide receiver returning in the country, and he's 6'4", 213. He's not a guy that you would think should be a downfield threat like that. You'd think he'd be a possession guy, but he can really stretch the field. This past weekend, 6 broken tackles on 6 catches. He's a nightmare after the catch. He can really do it all, and only 3 drops last year on 77 catchable passes.
I've seen people talking about him as the best player that you've never heard of because he plays out west, but a player that was on
Now you've heard of
the PFF College 50, now we're telling you about him again. I think it's safe to remove that label. Ole Miss, though. Ole Miss is a factory house of these monster wide receivers. There's a couple of giant guys out there. First one we're going to talk about is A.J. Brown, 6'1", but 225 pounds.
Yeah, he looks like a running back in terms of what he can do after the catch. Only 6'1", so he's not as tall as some of the other guys on this list, but 225 pounds, he's a big running back, you know. He had the 23 broken tackles a season ago after the catch. That was the second most of any returning receiver in the country. And he takes most of his routes from the slot and really bodies those smaller slot corners at the college level.
Staying at Ole Miss, though, we've got another guy, DK Metcalf, 6'4", 230 pounds, a giant receiver. And that Ole Miss receiving core was absolutely killing it against Texas Tech this week.
Yeah, DK Metcalf has probably the most potential of maybe anyone on this list, just in terms of raw physical ability. And like you mentioned, 6'4", 230. And you saw it last week against Texas Tech. He basically just put a cornerback on the ground on a go route and went for a touchdown. But the production really hasn't matched the traits up to this point. Only 39 catches a season ago. Of those, though, 14 went for 20-plus yards. So still some good, but he needs to produce more in our eyes.
It's going to be fun seeing that Ole Miss receiving core have fantastic games all the way throughout this season. The next guy on our list, though, West Virginia's David Sills, 6'4", 210 pounds.
Yeah, he has some ridiculous stats in terms of his rates. He had 18 of his 65 catches last year went for touchdowns. 17 of his 65 catches were contested. That was the second most of any returning receiver in the country. The bad, though, 8 drops on those 65 catches a season ago, but we saw this past week, didn't have a drop on his 140-yard day, and he broke 2 tackles after the catch. He's going to be big for Will Grier this season.
Moving out west now, Stanford run with this giant offensive line, this powerful ground game, but they tend to find one big play wide receiver consistently every single year. This time it's J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, 6'3", 225 pounds.
Yeah, he is a horse, Arcega-Whiteside. 16 of his 41 catches last year were contested. That is an unbelievable rate. Was not a hugely productive receiver a season ago, but you could see the traits on tape, what he could do at the catch point with all those contested catches. And then it showed up week 1. 226 yards, 3 touchdowns on only 35 routes this past week, and 2 of those were contested as well.
The last giant receiver on our list is from NC State. It's Kelvin Harmon, 6'3", 213 pounds to round off this list of giant freakish athletes.
Yeah, he might be the best deep threat of any guy on this list. 29 of his catches a season ago, 65 catches, went for 20-plus yards. That was a ridiculous rate. 18 of those were contested as well. That was the second most in the nation. And he had 46 of his catches last year went for first downs. That's a very high rate. He is a big play, down the field type of receiver at 6'3".
So there you have it. That's a lot of the big plays from week 1 of the college football season made by these giant wide receivers just going up and taking the ball away from smaller defensive backs. They're going to be fun to watch all the way through the season, but that's going to wrap it for this video, brought to you by Eckrich. Don't forget to pick up Eckrich smoked sausage at your local grocery store for this weekend's tailgate or homegate party, and make sure to visit EckrichFootball.com for great game day recipes and to enter the season-long $1 Million Challenge.